Okay, so two things are going down in this video here. This is just before I met Russell. You'll get to hear the whole thing. The first one, and I let them know this, it was raining at the time. It was very loud in here, and you can hear the rain. So it's not like this is a figment of my imagination. Another thing is, if you guys took the time to watch the mandatory reporter training video that I posted up, there's some stuff that's different here in Oregon, but not much. Mostly the fine that you get. The difference here in Oregon is that if it's a child, it's a $2,000 fine and up to a year in jail. And you could get more if something happens to that child. They get hurt or killed. So it's important to do your job. We're a minute into this video. We're actually going to play what she had to say. She thinks she's going to control the conversation, and that's not going to happen. She never should have called me. I called in very specifically because mandatory reporters are not doing their jobs, and Melissa is right in the middle of it. She has no place and no right to tell mandatory reporters that they can't do their jobs.
Hello?
Hi, Sean. This is Melissa and Russell here.
Sorry, there's a bit of wind and I live in a plastic tent.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you hear that it's Melissa and Russell from CARE?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm calling. You talked with my supervisor, Sean, I believe yesterday, maybe?
No, ma'am. He never called me back. He was supposed to, but he didn't.
But you did speak to him at some point.
I spoke to him a couple of days ago. Yes, ma'am. I had to try to turn you in, and I had to try to turn in the situation with, Shelley, and also the situation with the police and Tillamook Family Counseling Center.
Okay. Well, what I wanted to do is reach out to you and let you know what we're available to support you in if you choose to meet with us.
I don't mind meeting with Russell, but I do need to meet with Sean, and I've been informed that he is out till Monday, so he's not taking the situation seriously.
Well, he is. He passed it on to me and Russell to make this call to you. I was instructed by him to do so. So that's why I'm calling today.
And you see this is against the law. I'm trying to turn Shelley and Melissa in. Melissa already lost her job once. The thing is, if you're going to have mandatory reporters, your employees need to know that they have a job to do. That is part of their job. And they do need to take it seriously, and they need to take it seriously right away. Instead, what has this guy done? What has Sean done that is so wrong? And I have been saying over and over and over again, he's new, but how new is he? Well, they didn't even know his name a few days ago, so he's pretty new. Well, I guess a week and a half ago now. So, even though it's against the law for him to have her call me the way that she did here, and she's going to say that she's not a mandatory reporter, so she doesn't care how important that job is. She does not care how much we are harmed, how much we are hurt. And of course, this is what our predators do. They try to make us go back to the people we're trying to turn in. Oh, did you try telling Natalie how it makes you feel when these people are assaulting you? Did you try that? You ever try to get a hold of her and try to settle it at a court? Yeah, that shit don't work. It doesn't work. Now, by sending Melissa here, He's obviously either A, assuming I'm schizophrenic or delusional and therefore he doesn't have to follow the laws, or B, he's going to try pulling something that I've had to deal with many times before, is after they force me to try to go back to one of my predators and they want to fucking try sweet talking nice like this, sort of, then they go, oh, well, I thought you guys were getting along. No, I'm still trying to turn these fucking people in. I've been trying to turn these people in for years. They're pulling the same crap.
And he wanted me to let you know that Russell and I would be willing to sit with you. And
she continues, even after I stated very clearly that I'm trying to turn her and Shelly in. Very clearly. It's going to be me and Russell, me and Russell, me and Russell. No, it's not going to be her and Russell. That's fucking illegal.
And while you make the call to DHS to report the situation that you feel needs reporting, and carry that out to the best of our ability, depending on what the folks say who answer. And then we would also be available to you to get you a different peer, not Shelly, that would work with you.
And I'm okay with a different peer. The problem is I'm not okay with Melissa. See, the stuff that Shelly should have been doing this whole time, you got to hear me talking with Russell. We haven't done anything since Russell stopped being my support worker. Anything. We got the mail in that he started with me. The last thing that he started with me, though, was trying to help me get my back payment, and Shelly hasn't done squat on that. That's what she was supposed to be helping with. Like, she was supposed to be temporarily helping with just that part, just the Social Security disability part she was going to help me and Russell with. But then I ended up stuck with her. And then, of course, I get treated like I went back to these people because they didn't do anything wrong to begin with. And, I had to come to the conclusion that, maybe it's all in it's obviously not in my head. That's the issue. Now, if I were schizophrenic and delusional and he tried pulling this stuff, it would still be just as wrong. It sucks that somebody who's schizophrenic has to deal with that. And that's why I stick up for them. But at the same time, it's horrible for people who are not schizophrenic to have to go through that. And that is our reality out here.
Towards housing, if you indeed wanted to go down that path.
Ma'am, I've been filling out the housing paperwork since 2022, and you are...
You'll notice that all of these people that I'm trying to turn in that are pushing the housing thing, they'll push the housing thing every time. I've been filling out the housing paperwork. Matter of fact, I have 2 pieces of paper in here. The 2 that I filled out and took into Russell because they were lost, because we filled them out 2 at a time. And I had to fill some of them out again. And when I filled them out again, he brought those back. I do have those 2. I looked through the manila envelopes. That's not in there. There was, I believe, 5 or 6 of them I filled out overall. I think it was 6 because it was 2 at a time. And the ones that I have copies of, there's only 2 of them. But the housing thing, they keep trying to insinuate that I'm not trying to get housing. That's gaslighting like a motherfucker. These guys know that I come in every day. They know that I have offered repeatedly to fill out that paperwork, and we're still having to deal with this.
Aware of that. You are well aware of that. You are aware that the first thing I did was fill out the housing paperwork, and if Russell is with you right now, then he can tell you that I filled out the housing paperwork and then it got lost, so he gave me more papers to fill out, and when I was filling those out, he found the ones that were lost. But now Miss Shelley can't find them. It's been months, and the situation with the abuse, I go in there to try to turn in situations where I'm being assaulted threatened and abused, and people are committing hate crimes against me, and I have to try to turn it into you guys. I'm repeatedly sent to mandatory reporters. Mandatory reporters have a job to do immediately when it happens. When I go in there and I tell the ladies at the front desk about the abuse that I'm enduring, instead of them listening and taking it seriously, they start telling me stories about their exes or about their cousins or things of that nature, and then they tell me that they'll set up an appointment with Shelley. Miss Shelley has missed over half of the appointments. I have appointment card after appointment card with her. There's also the stuff that was destroyed in my file. That's not okay. It's never okay for some.
Like at this point, I already know that if I say something and give a pause, then she's going to use that as an excuse. And I really have a lot of stuff that needs to be said. It needs to be heard. And Shelly and Melissa should not be involved in this. I mean, I've already told Melissa at the very beginning of the call that I'm trying to turn her and Miss Shelley in. And this is like 17 minutes long.
Somebody destroy the stuff in my file. So part of the stuff that I have to turn in is also the evidence of her admission she destroyed part of the stuff in my file. This is all stuff that needs to be taken care of. There's also the situation with you guys being told not to do your jobs as mandatory reporters. I was there when you told the employees that they're not to call the police if we're being abused. You guys are only to call the police if one of us is wanting to harm ourselves or somebody else. And that's also not okay. It doesn't.
You're damn right I called her out. She should not have called me. This is an inappropriate call. And you got to hear with Russell talk that he and I had. And after you listen to this, it makes a lot more sense. After you watch the mandatory reporter training video, you realize that this is all nonsense. She's not a mandatory reporter. Russell is not a mandatory reporter. They do have mandatory reporters there, and she's telling them that they can't do their jobs as mandatory reporters. Maybe we should do something about this. And she does admit this. She admits they do have peers that are mandatory reporters.
Matter that came from the sheriff's department. The fact is, if the sheriff's department is giving you instructions like that, that's against the law for them to do so.
Well, what I'm here to do today, Sean, is to offer you these things that we are here, that we're paid to do, and things that we can help you with.
So she knows all the same stuff to say. She says all the same stuff as the mandatory reporters when they don't want to do their job. She knows the routine for blowing off a victim. She knows that very well. At the same time, she is one of the people at CARE who broke the law. The people at CARE who are mandatory reporters, it is their job to protect us from this. It is definitely not their boss's job to put us at risk by telling those people they can't do their jobs. Whether that came from the sheriff's department, the police department, or whether she just outright lied and made it up, doesn't detract from the fact that that job is mandatory. If you tell somebody that is a mandatory reporter that they can't do their job as a mandatory reporter, you are breaking the law. When you are playing these games, she's talking nice. I mean, she's definitely going to at least try talking nice because she's going to get in really serious trouble over this. So, of course, her boss is going to give her the opportunity to, you guys have gotten to see those videos with that rich guy father that has been telling off his daughter and his ex-wife, the one who does the breakdancing. When he does his videos, he's pretty calculated about it. He obviously has emotions about it, but he doesn't exactly show those emotions necessarily, does he? This is the thing with sometimes your predators will play nice. Sometimes they'll scream and shout and threaten you to your face, and sometimes they'll try to convince others to do it. But being sent back to the people you're trying to turn them into themselves, is stupid. At the same time, CARE are the people who are supposed to be helping me. TFCC refuses to do their jobs. I've been getting told that they're going to call all these places and they're going to find me the type of help that I need. Well, I need a mandatory reporter, stupid. Since 2022, you haven't been able to find a single goddamn mandatory reporter in the whole fucking state? Is that what you're fucking telling me? Jesus Christ, that's mentally fucking retarded on every level. Especially if you are a mandatory reporter. Like, no, this isn't complicated. It doesn't take long to learn somebody's quirks, to learn about somebody who's autistic. It doesn't take very long at all. But when you want to interrupt them every time and say, oh, well, I'm not an autism specialist, or, oh, well, you know, my cousin's autistic. I don't give a shit. I really don't. That doesn't validate this situation. I'm not your fucking cousin. That's a serious issue. It's kind of like saying that everybody's black is like your black friend. Or every person who's got cerebral palsy is... I mean, really, you don't even want to finish that sentence now, do you? Of course not. You definitely don't want to finish that sentence. There's a lot of liberals who own firearms these days. They kind of have to, with all of the right-wing Nazi shitheads who pull shit like this. Now, sometimes they get very, very angry, and sometimes they talk nicely. Depends on if their boss just talked to them or not, usually. Once they start fearing consequences, well, then they start to fucking tone their shit down. I'm willing to face all of the consequences. I'm not sure if you noticed, but I admit my mistakes. Right away. As soon as I realize I made a mistake, I fess up to it.
And if you feel like we have already done that and to no avail,
No.
So that right there, she's trying to put words in my mouth and do the wee. No, you do not get to send my predator to pull this shit. No, this is not fucking happening. Like, Sean just got his position and I'm already trying to get his ass fired. This shit is not okay. So what she's trying to do there is pull the whole, oh, well, if you don't want our help stuff, or you're not willing to take our help, and what she's going to do is, and we've heard these conversations before, what she's going to try to do is play victim. She's going to try to claim that I don't want help, that I'm not trying to get help, and that since none of their services are obviously helping me, that there's no more reason for us to, no, fuck you. No, you are taking advantage of fucking disabled people. Jesus Christ. And this is the bullshit that we have to deal with as victims. Are these mandatory reporters, are they taking it seriously? These are CARE employees who have broken the law. Are they taking it seriously when I try to turn this in? No.
No. Do not put words in my mouth. What I'm saying is that every time that I fill out this housing paperwork, you guys continually pretend, and
You notice it also gets, the ambient noise gets louder. So, I mean, I'm, first of all, not happy about this situation. And second of all, I'm in a fucking windy-ass tent.
sorry that it's getting windy here and that it's getting loud in here and my voice is raising as a result of that. But no, you do not get to put words in my mouth and pretend anything like that, okay? When it comes to the housing stuff, I have not been against the housing stuff. I have been filling out the housing stuff, and every time I go in there for the mandatory reporting stuff, you guys want to change the subject to housing. I've done what I...
And then we never do anything more with housing. It's me getting bitched at because they can't find the housing paperwork and so on and so forth. And this is the part where I was supposed to have a peer support helping me with this stuff. Like, I don't know how to do any of this shit. I know how to live on the fucking streets. All right, that's what I know how to do. I know how to get people's attention onto me when they're trying to harm somebody else. That's what I know how to do. This stuff is all stuff that I need help with. I'm not good with this stuff because I was thrown out on the streets at fucking 18 years of age with, I literally had one fucking shoe, all right? No joke. So this stuff that I'm having to deal with here, this is not okay. Now, if Sean is willing to take this seriously, yeah, maybe he just made a mistake. Maybe after he talks to Russell, he's going to realize what a big fucking mistake he made. I don't know if Sean's a mandatory reporter or not, but I do know that if there are mandatory reporters that work there, they cannot prevent those mandatory reporters from doing their jobs. They cannot threaten, harass, or coerce those workers. They cannot intimidate those workers.
Can with housing, if I have to fill out more paperwork, I've said repeatedly to you guys, and in every single session with Miss Shelley, I'm willing to fill out that paperwork again. I'm willing to fill it out as many times as it takes. But along with that, you guys are mandatory reporters, and you need to take it seriously. I have endured repeated assaults because nobody at CARE wanted to take the situation seriously and wanted to change the subject repeatedly. This is what needs to be addressed. I'm not saying no to housing. I've never said no to housing.
Okay, Sean, can I interrupt you for a second? So what I can tell you is that CARE is a nonprofit that helps people get housing.
Now, I've said this before, right? Of course I have. But then, when I was at TFCC, they don't do that either. They say, we're not investigators. It's not our job to collect evidence. It's not our job to gather evidence. We got to hear that same shit out of Sean. Literally any excuse to pretend that you didn't fucking speak. Literally any excuse to pretend that the crimes that you're trying to turn in, you're not actually trying to turn in. Oh, no, you're not trying to turn in crimes, or you're trying to turn it in the wrong place. How about some housing paperwork? How about some housing paperwork? If you've got mandatory reporters there and they're not doing their jobs, maybe we need to focus on that, because that's getting people harmed and killed. And it's not a joke, and it's not funny. It's not okay. You get to see how repeatedly I was sent back to Scott DaCosta after trying to turn him in, and they wouldn't allow me to turn him in. I literally had to hand the protection order against Scott DaCosta that I filled out to Scott DaCosta himself. Okay, that's how fucked up this situation is. In Chapel, Nebraska, Joan Hansen, when I went in there and asked her how I needed to do this shit, well, she told me after I fill out the protection order, I need to take it to the sheriff's department or the sheriff's office, and then they go serve it. Was he going to serve himself a protection order? Obviously, he fucking didn't. No matter where I go, I have to deal with predatory officers and their cohorts in places like CARE.
We're not a reporting agency.
There's no such thing as a reporting agency.
There's mandatory reporters. That's your reporting agency. If you're a hospital, everybody in that hospital is a mandatory reporter, even if they're a fucking janitor, and that's not a joke. If you're a member of the clergy, you're a mandatory reporter. If you're an attorney, you're a mandatory reporter. If you're a doctor, if you're a nurse, if you're a psychologist, all mandatory reporters. A therapist is a mandatory reporter. A school nurse is a mandatory reporter. A school guidance counselor is a mandatory reporter. Every teacher is a mandatory reporter. Everyone who works for the Department of Health and Human Services on the service end of it is a mandatory reporter. When it comes to the numbers and the lawyers and all that, those guys, well, if they're a lawyer, they're a mandatory reporter here in Oregon. But if they're a numbers cruncher, they're just a numbers cruncher. But shit right here, we're 5 minutes and 49 seconds into a conversation that never should have happened. And she's wanting the housing. Like, no, stop. Stop doing that. If there's more we can do on the housing, fine. But that housing bullshit is not stopping the abuse. It does not put my predators away. It allows them to go free, to do it again and again and again, to get big heads and to do it to others. This is not okay.
There's a job of mandatory reporter or not. You are either a mandatory reporter or you aren't. Adult Protective Services, but Adult Protective Services isn't doing anything because you guys never call them when I come to you. When I go to Adult Protective Services, they do the same thing that you do. Adult Protective Services is not making any effort to investigate any of this. They're not making any effort to come collect evidence. They're not making any effort to send anybody out. They're not doing anything.
Is there someone that you would like us to sit and call with you that you think would do?
Now, you see, she's still talking. I shouldn't be talking to her at all. I shouldn't be talking to her at all. But Russell is a witness to this shit. All right? He doesn't have to be a mandatory reporter. He is a witness.
Something about these things?
Well, you guys are mandatory reporters, so anybody that we need to call, but the thing is that I am fine with making that call with Russell, but you are one of the people who I have to turn in. You guys aren't just for housing. If somebody who is disabled is coming in there because they're abused, you do have to do your due diligence. When it comes to mandatory reporters, by law, you have to...
They specifically have mandatory reporters there because of situations like this. If she is not a mandatory reporter, then she needs to get me somebody who is. If there is a safety issue with turning it into the police, they need to acknowledge that. Now, when I say you guys, I was told that everybody who works at CARE is a mandatory reporter, technically, because it is a mental health facility. They have to register as something, and it's the housing thing, but I don't know any of this stuff. I just know what I'm being told by these other people at other agencies. And of course, the stuff from the CARE staff, which seems to change every time I talk to them, except for the consistency of them not giving a shit about the abuse, going out of their way not to look at any evidence of abuse, saying, I believe you. You know what? How about we stop and address these as two separate issues, okay? Housing is one thing, mandatory reporting is another. You do have to do your job as a mandatory reporter. And if you have the housing thing going on and somebody commits a crime against me, then you have to drop the housing shit immediately. If you and I are filling out housing paperwork and one of your coworkers comes up and smacks me in the head, you have to turn that in.
Turn it in immediately, and you have to make a written report within 24 hours. Now, I do have...
Now, we looked up the AI version of it, and it doesn't say that. The actual law as it's written, well, they might have changed it again. They've changed it twice since I've been in this state. So, the AI might have not just put down the jail part for adults and only wrote it down for the children part. There's parts that the AI probably got very wrong. They get a lot of stuff wrong. But I also put up the actual numbers for some of the Oregon revised statutes there so you can see some of the crimes. It's not just the AI stuff. It's also the actual laws themselves that are important to go through. You can get a general idea, but, well, if you don't know for sure, then you're in the dark and you're having to rely on others. People like these folks. Now, she admits during this video that she is not a mandatory reporter, but that they do have peer support workers there who are mandatory reporters. And Sean, I believe in the phone call with him, verified that as well, but I don't know for certain. I'll have to go back and listen to it. But also, when I'm asking if they're mandatory reporters, I have to ask her several times. And she just gives sarcastic, shitty fucking remarks. Like, no, you don't make a fucking victim go to their goddamn predator. You don't fucking do it.
The conversation between me and Miss Shelley where we spoke about that situation, and Mercy told me that you told her she's not allowed to do her job as a mandatory reporter in this, and she's not allowed to do any of the things that she said she would do to support.
Also, Miss Shelley told me that she was a mandatory reporter. If that's untrue, then that needs to be addressed. If it is true, that needs to be addressed.
Me. I would respectfully say that I would never tell Shelly that. We have to witness things, and you're right.
So if a 9-year-old girl comes in and she says, I have a video of my dad raping me,
they have to witness it, right? This is the example I'm going to make with a 9-year-old girl. 9-year-old girl comes in and says, my dad is raping me. He's been raping me for a while. I've caught it on video. There's evidence of it. Yeah, it's a credible accusation. Credible. You don't have to witness it. A credible accusation. Now, this is the problem with having to go through Melissa here. She's going out of her way to play stupid. She's saying all the same things as the mandatory reporters, though, isn't she? Things that we all know to be bullshit after watching the mandatory reporter training. She is literally doing all of the things that they're not supposed to do. Obviously, she knows how to blow people off. Obviously, when I've told them I need a mandatory reporter, they've given me people that are just peer support that aren't mandatory reporters. The one person that was a mandatory reporter wanted to talk in circles. And of course, this lady, even after I was sitting there, when she told those things to other employees and recording the conversation with Miss Shelley, where Shelley verifies that as well, yeah, I mean, what's Melissa going to do? She's going to deny it. She's going to deny it. And then she's going to pretend that this is a schizophrenic delusion and she's afraid for her whatever and she needs help.
do you have to witness the rape? Do you think her dad is going to rape her in front of you? I have video evidence of these things.
See, then she's going to say my name as if saying my name makes the retarded shit that just came out of her mouth fucking okay. Or as if saying my name as if I'm a retard is going to stop me from saying something that makes perfect sense. If you watch that mandatory reporter training video, you know how inappropriate this is. Let's say that lady at the very beginning, right? In the very beginning of that training video, there's a nurse who slaps a patient across the face. Now imagine if you made that patient turn that in to the lady who smacked her across the face. Imagine when she tried to call in to turn it in, that the person they had call her back was the person who slapped her in the face. I want you to think about this.
I also have evidence that you and your coworkers have committed felonies through this situation. All right? I'm fine with working with Russell, but I'm trying to get you put in prison for the things that you have been doing.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, and I'm sorry that you feel that way. That isn't our intention. We want you to feel satisfied in the services that we offer you, and we also have a scope of work that we're here to perform.
My one question here, this is the easiest one for you to answer. Are you mandatory reporters?
No answer.
You've already made it clear that you believe that we are. So
I'm asking.
And you see there, I'm trying to clarify. Obviously, I'm trying to clarify. It's an easy question. You could say, yes, we're all mandatory reporters, or no, none of us are mandatory reporters, or yes, some of us are, and no, some of us aren't. It's kind of a mix. You know, instead, she wants to do the victim blaming and victim shaming thing and go out of her way to defer and deflect and to not directly answer the question. You've made it perfectly clear that you think that we are. Well, you know, I've been told by several people there that they are and several people that they aren't. I'd like a clear answer on who it is that is a mandatory reporter and who it is that is not, and why it is that obviously I'm being deflected and deferred and having to deal with this stupid shit.
asking you to answer whether or not you are, because I've had multiple people tell me that they are. Are you?
What I am not a mandatory reporter under the guise of the certification that I have. We have other peers who are certified under other things, and yes, they are. So what I'm saying to you is, you can come in, and if there is an agency that you, DHS or otherwise, Adult Protective Services, whomever you think would be the most appropriate, we would sit with you and help you make that call one time. And
One time, no. Absolutely not. All of these services committed crimes against me, and when I have to try to turn them in, then I'm cut off. I'm told to go to places that I can't go because I fucking turned them in, and their mandatory reporters didn't want to do their jobs, and many of these are verified as mandatory reporters. Why are they not doing their fucking jobs? Why are they playing these fucking head games?
And we would be completed with that task.
No, that is not okay. It is not okay. No, that is not okay. It is not okay that I'm having to sit with a felon who I'm trying to turn in to try to make those calls. Sean should have called me and spoken with me yesterday. I am making very severe accusations against you guys, and they need to be taken seriously. You guys coordinate.
It is not okay for your predators to dictate the terms. That is never okay. This isn't just one call. Because, see, here's the thing. When we call, we get an answering machine. That's what happens. We get an answering machine. Nobody takes it seriously. Nobody. When it comes to looking at evidence, they do everything they can not to try to scare the victim or lie to the victim into believing that they can't turn anything in, or refusing to look at evidence and claiming that that's their investigation, to not come and speak with me, not collect the evidence, and just allow it to happen again and again? This is not okay. And then the housing. How many years have I been going in there and not gotten housing? I spent one night in their fucking shit shelter because I needed to talk to Russell. Now, as far as helping hands goes, no, that is absolutely fucking not housing. What I had to deal with there starting on day one was absolutely fucked. Having to deal with 6 people fucking bullying me for 5 fucking days because somebody else fucked up the coffee pot. Oh God, poor them. The lady and it didn't even fuck up the coffee pot. Like, she just put too much water in. No biggie. Easy fix. The problem is that a woman who lives there who is completely batshit fucking crazy wanted to get in my way and fucking scream and yell at me about this shit and about how I fucked up no, I didn't. And it's not okay to make false accusations. And